Hey guys, so we're going to get a little bit more into TBRI today with the engagement strategies that fall under the connecting principles. So, the basis of our relationships should be connection. And in that, there are two big things: the engagement strategies and mindful awareness. So, this one is going to be about the engagement strategies. So, one of the three pillars of trauma wise care is felt safety. People need to feel safe when you're interacting with them. And all of us can probably identify people who made us feel safe growing up or who we feel safe around now. And people that, we didn't feel as at ease around. And we have that effect on other people for different reasons. The way that people respond, what they're coming into the story with, like any kind of trauma they're coming in with, experiences they've come with. And so we do have to be aware of these strategies and really honest with how we're doing with them, and how we can make like really simple goals so that we can improve and also meet individuals exactly where they are. So, when we're trying to make someone feel safe, basically we want the survival part of their brain, the amygdala, to not have to engage too much. And so much of that has to do with our nonverbal communication. Um, and so the engagement strategies mostly have to do with nonverbal communication. And here they are. We can make this really fast. So the first one is valuing eye contact. So we can't force people to look at us in our eyes, but we can value it. Step one of this is making sure we're not always looking at our phones. And especially when you're working with kids, just not even having your phone out when you have the chance to engage with them one on one. Really, waiting for times where they're not needing that full attention from you to interact with your phone, because that eye contact is so valuable. So, if we treat it as valuable and we understand that that is a huge part of what makes kids and adults and other people feel safe, then when we put that value on it, we can be more aware of, am I looking at them? Am I giving them my full attention? Am I really listening to them? You don't want to be like staring creepily into their eyes, but like, the healthy, just looking at them and then glancing off, but not like staring off at something where they're like, wait, what are they looking at? But, finding a comfortable way to have eye contact. So some kids are very uncomfortable with eye contact, and that's why you don't want to ever force it, but you can request it and say, can I see your eyes? And if your eyes are soft and not hard, and I think everybody can understand what that means because you've had people look at you with harsh, critical, judgmental eyes, um, hateful eyes. Just practice even looking in the mirror. Um, Growing up doing chorus and music and things, our music teacher would encourage us just to raise our eyebrows a little bit, because it's hard to really show like interest if your eyes are like just dead and your eyebrows are down. And you might think like you're really giving your attention, but just raising your eyebrows a little bit makes you look more, helps you really convey non-verbally that you're interested, that you're engaged, that you're giving that effort with your mind, and your mind is engaged by raising your eyebrows and you know smiling with your eyes, is part of having those soft, safety producing eyes. So that's the first one, valuing eye contact. And this is where, with each of these, just try to be aware and not to be hard on yourself, but just so that you have a chance to grow. Awareness is the first step to growth and improvement. And you can even look at yourself in the mirror and think like, do I look interested? Do I look engaged? Do I look calm? Um, and if you can't do that in the moment, I'm going to always encourage, like, give yourself a timeout with your kid and just say, I want to come back to this conversation when I'm calm and I need a timeout. And you can go pray or do some breathing exercises, or do some, hard like workout type of thing to get your emotions out, and then breathe, and then take a look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, is this non-verbally, am I going to produce like safety for my kid or whoever you're trying to engage with? The second one is authoritative voice. So this is primarily with kids, but it could help you at work as well, where you know the appropriate tone and volume and even the cadence of your voice, like the rhythm of your voice. Will it promote safety? Um, and just slowing down, quieting down can really help. This is part of being calm no matter what. Is being aware of your voice, and it can be appropriate for the situation. So there are some times where kids need to hear a little bit more authority in your voice. They don't ever need to hear you like screaming at them. They don't need that. It's just not going to help. It's going to hurt you and them in the long run. So, this is something to really be aware of. And if you already have a habit of that, I'm almost 100% sure you probably grew up with that. And so, because it's what you're used to, it's what you're repeating, but it's not too late and you can change it for your kids. Um, so, the first step to changing it is being able to acknowledge it to them and say, you know what, in a calm time, saying, like, I don't want to keep screaming at you, yelling at you, raising my voice, using a mean voice. I want to show you a better example of that, and I'm sorry. I haven't done that, perfectly in the past. No one does, but I am sorry and I want to work on it. That will do incredible things for your relationship with your kid. Just them hearing that you're not perfect, that you're sorry, that you want to work on something will build so much more trust. And then seeing you work on it, and the next time you do, probably raise your voice, because it's really impossible to just change overnight for most of us anyway. Um, you can apologize and say, man, I slipped up again. Will you forgive me? And you practice those repairs. And that safe, like, safe relationships don't like lack problems. It's they address the problems and practice healthy repair. So that should be encouraging to all of us, because we don't have to feel like a failure the first time we mess up with our voice or with our eyes or with whatever. So that's huge, huge. Authoritative voice, not authoritarian voice, not where you're the dictator, but where you are the boss and you do have clear expectations and you can convey those like clearly. There's going to be consequences, and it doesn't have to be anything extreme. It can be appropriate consequences for what natural consequences for whatever that your kid chooses to do, or it can be some kind of incentivized consequence where it's like, okay, if you do this, then this is going to happen that you really love. If you choose not to, we're not going to get to do that, or I might have to take this away. But using it in authoritative voice, which will hold more weight if you really do keep to your word. The next one is healthy touch. I'm not going to get tons into this, but every kid needs to be touched, and they're not all comfortable with the same kind of touch. Like, some kids love hugs, some kids like high fives, secret handshakes, um, wrestling, tickling. It can be, just figure out, take the time to notice, like, what kind of touch does my child seem to be drawn to, when, how much, and I want to fill that love tank up with healthy touch, because it will help them feel safe and it will help your connection big time. Super cool. Um, if they have been touched inappropriately or in an unsafe way, you have to be a lot more careful with it. There's one kid where we had to build up to being more comfortable with touch, a kid who lived in my home. And we started off with hand hugs, where you just wrap your thumbs around each other's hand and you just squeeze a little bit. That's it. That's it. Super simple, but that's where he was at. And so that's where we started. And it grew from there to tickle monster, tag, lots of playful, healthy touch. So he's still not like super like cuddly or let's hug or whatever. And that's totally fine. Like everyone has different kinds of healthy touch that they appreciate. The next one is behavioral matching. And this is basically like, are you willing to join in with your kid where they are? So come alongside of them, playing a game with them, which also goes to the next one, playful interaction. Can you connect by getting down on their eye level as much as possible when you're talking to them? Can you mimic the way that they're sitting? Can you get a snack for both of you to eat while you're trying to talk to them, or a drink or something like that? It's as simple as that. There's something so powerful in you just joining in with them or doing something that you can both do and match. There's a big connection force in behavioral matching. The last one is that playful interaction. And this is just fun because, like, knowing that playing with your kid is one of the best things you can do to connect with them and to help them learn is so fun because one, it'll hopefully give you a little bit of exercise and some fun too by playing more with them. And it can be very uncomfortable at first, like if you're not used to doing it a lot with your kid, if you never had a parent really do that a lot with you. If you do that a lot with your kids, just great job and keep it up. It helps them feel so safe when you can play with them, when you can be playful with them, when you're telling them to do something using a silly voice, just, making it lighthearted makes it so much easier for them to participate and cooperate with you. Um, Also, if you can be playful when you're trying to teach your kids something, whether it's working on reading or anything else, like sweeping, let's make a game out of sweeping, let's make a race out of picking up toys, like anything like that, it helps them to engage and learn how to do those things correctly from you so much faster. Like to form a neural synapse, like a pattern in your brain, like to really learn something in your brain, like in a traditional way with just repetition and practice, is like 400 repetitions. But once play is involved, it literally cuts it down to like 20 to 40 repetitions. So play is super duper powerful in not just connecting with your kid, but in helping them to learn and grow. So if you have any questions about the engagement strategies, if you have any ideas of how you could practice these, like it is a good idea to record your voice and listen back to it and practice. Like, how do I want to talk to my kid about this subject or this issue that they had? How how am I coming across? Record yourself, maybe even with a video, so you can watch your eye contact. You can hear your voice inflection, and you can really help them to keep that downstairs brain, the survival brain, relaxed, where they can think more clearly and actually take in the things that you're talking to them about. Because if they're feeling nervous because of your eyes or your voice or anything, they're not going to hear what you have to say. They're not going to accept it and start working on it. That is just not how our brains work. So it's not that your kid is a bad kid, it's they need to feel safe. And so it's our job to do what we can and learn these strategies to help kids and other people feel safe.